Hello hockey fans, Oddman Rush here and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Hockey, the only show that's a good source of iron and part of a healthy, balanced diet. Can you guys tell that I'm running out of material for this section of the video every single week? In today's episode, once again you guys sent me a bunch of great questions and topics to answer. However, this week we're gonna have to kind of speed run things a little bit. I don't have a huge amount of time to record this, so let's just get straight into it, shall we? First up, we have Average Sens Fan 18 who asks, what do you think the Ottawa Senators could do to turn their season around? Is it too late? Now, I think we should pump the brakes just a little bit there, Sens fan. By no means is the Ottawa Senators season over. It's not too late for them to turn their fortunes around before the end of the year. However, given the start that they've had to the 23-24 regular season, they haven't put themselves in the best position to succeed, have they? So right now, on Sunday, December 17th, the Ottawa Senators have played 25 games during the 23-24 season. They are 8th place in the Atlantic Division with a record of 11 wins and 14 losses for 22 points on the year. They have 9 regulation wins. Their goal difference is +2, which is very promising, especially compared to some of the other teams around them in the standings. Their home record is 8-9-0, and their away record is 3-5-0, so they've played considerably more home games than they have away games, but even still, neither home nor away are they a more dominant team. And their last 10 games, they are 3-7-0 with a 3-game losing streak. So the Ottawa Senators, they clearly aren't getting the job done here to start the season. But that being said, I don't think it's due to the vast majority of their lineup. Taking a look at the players' individual stats, you have Tim Stützle, 28 points in 25 games to lead the Ottawa Senators. You have Claude Giroux, 24 points in 25 games. You have Drake Batherson, 22 points in 25 games. So you have 3 forwards there who are either scoring at over or roughly a point a game pace in their top 6, which is exactly what you want from those guys. You then have Brady Tkachuk, the captain, 20 points in 25 games. Jake Chikrin, the defenseman, 20 points in 25 games. Matthew Joseph, 19 points in 25 games. Vladimir Tarasenko, 19 points in 24 games. So their top 6 and their star players are clearly getting that offensive output. So part of you thinks maybe it's the defensive problems here. I don't think that's the case either, because, for example, if you take a look at their plus-minus ratings, obviously they don't factor in specialty teams, but it's still a stat worth mentioning. You've got Matthew Joseph leading the team with a +12 rating. You've got Riley Gregg with a +9 rating. You've got Vladimir Tarasenko with a +8 rating, and Tim Stützle with a +6 rating. So a lot of these star players, they're putting up points, and they're very clearly on for far more goals for than they are against. So, and if we do the reverse and kind of look at the worst plus-minus players on the Senators, the only real jarring one that the Senators have here is Dominik Kubalik, who has a -11 rating and 7 points in 25 games on the season. They have Jarventi at a -5, but he's only played 7 games this year, so everybody else is either a -2 or better. So if their star players are clearly producing offensively, and the team overall is doing a pretty decent job defensively, what's the problem with the Ottawa Senators then? The goaltending, ladies and gentlemen. The goaltending's the problem. Joonas Korpisalo, 16 games played, a 6-8-0 record, a 3.33 goals against average, and a .898 save percentage. Oh, and if that's not bad enough, you have Anton Forsberg, 11 games played, a 5-6-0 record with a 3.23 goals against average and a .876 save percentage. So clearly for Ottawa, the goaltending is a massive black hole right now. Is the team defense partly to blame for their poor individual stats? Yes, I think there's an argument to be made there. Ottawa definitely isn't the strongest defensive team, but when the most players on the roster are a -2 or better, it's either got to be the specialty teams are really letting them down, or it's got to be the net minding. And if you ask me, it's probably a bit of both, right? Korpisalo and Forsberg clearly aren't getting the job done in the crease for the Ottawa Senators. They acquired Korpisalo. They were really hoping that he could be their kind of 1A guy between the pipes there. He's not doing it so far this year. And once again, Ottawa have gone back into their cycle of this year's our year, and it's not their year again. They're bottom of the Atlantic Division once again. So, Sens fan, if you want an answer to your question, how can the Ottawa Senators turn it around? They either need to shore up their specialty teams, or they need to acquire a better goaltender. Will they be able to do that given the market at the moment? I highly doubt it, but they've got to try and do something. Otherwise, they're looking at a basement-dwelling season once again. Next up, we have Gazza, who asks, what are your thoughts on Adam Fantilli and the Columbus Blue Jackets so far this season? Well, it's no secret that Columbus are going going through a pretty sizable transition of their roster and a pretty notable rebuild of their team overall, and judging by their performance so far this season, I think that's pretty evident, right? In 32 games this season, the Columbus Blue Jackets have posted a 10, 17, and 5 record for 25 points in 32 games, which puts them dead last in the Metropolitan Division. They have a goal difference of -21, which really isn't great this early into the season, and they have a home record of 7, 9, and 2, which isn't too bad. However, their away record is 3, 8, and 3, which is pretty abysmal to say the least. They have a 4, 5, and 1 record in their last 10 games, and they are currently on a 1-game losing streak at the time of this recording. So, not the finest performance at the moment for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but like I said, this was kind of expected from this roster. Now, regarding Adam Fantilli specifically, I think he's actually had a pretty good start to the season and a pretty decent opening to his NHL career, especially given the team that he's playing for and the players that he has around him, right? In 32 games this season, Fantilli has scored 8 goals and 9 assists for 17 points. He has a plus-minus of -10, and he has 10 penalty minutes on the year. So obviously the -10 rating isn't that great, but given that he's a 19-year-old former second overall draft pick from this past summer who's playing his first NHL hockey, and given that he's playing for a team that's both at the bottom of their own division standings and one of the worst teams across the entire NHL standings, I don't think that's too much cause for concern, right? Obviously, Fantilli, he's going to be compared to Connor Bedard the entire season. He's not producing at the same kind of pace as Connor Bedard is in Chicago, and since they were first and second overall draft picks this past summer, there's going to be that instant comparison throughout the rest of the year and probably several years to come. That being said, Fantilli is a different player to Connor Bedard. He's a different size, different stature, different play style as well. I think given the team that he's playing for and the players around him, and given the kind of hype around him as being the kind of next cornerstone player for the Columbus Blue Jackets and a guy that has really embraced being a Columbus Blue Jacket as well, I think Fantilli is doing fine. I think he's doing very well. I wouldn't be surprised if he finished the year with kind of 20, 25 goals on the season. I mean, he's already scored 8 goals in 32 games, right? So he's on pace for about 25 goals this season. I think a 50-point season from Fantilli would be nothing but a success for him, especially given the start to the season, especially given the team that he's playing for. It's not going to be the greatest performance from him throughout his career, but he's only 19 years old. He's got plenty of time to figure things out. He's got a sky-high potential. His ceiling is insane. Columbus Blue Jackets, you've got a good player in Fantilli there. He's going to be a fantastic player for the roster for many years to come, and I'm excited to see how the rest of his season goes. Does he kind of continue on the pace that he's on after the new year? Does he kind of go scorching and really kind of carry the team on his back? Or does he drop a little bit as the ebbs and flows of the regular season continue and that fatigue hits? So, Adam Fantilli, keep it up, buddy. You're doing a fantastic job. Columbus Blue Jackets, good luck. You need it more than the Ottawa Senators right now. Now we have Alex Silva who asks, are the Edmonton Oilers starting to turn their season around? Now, the Oilers are a team that we've discussed in great detail over the last kind of 2 months or so. They're a team that had a really poor start to the regular season under Jay Woodcroft. They obviously fire Woodcroft and bring in Chris Knoblauch for the rest of the season. And to be honest, yeah, they might actually be turning their season around, Alex. They have a 13, 14, and 1 record for 27 points in 28 games this season. They have a goal differential of 0, so they have neither scored more goals than allowed goals, so that's pretty good. And they are 8-2-0 in their last 10 games with a 2-game losing streak at the time of this recording. So they pretty much went on an 8-game winning streak, which has really got them back into the mix as a team that, you know, if they keep going the way that they're going, they could be a team that's fighting for a playoff spot, right? Especially given where they were, say, 2.5, 3 weeks ago. They were a team that were nearly, if not dead last in the Pacific Division. They were a team that was struggling crazily, had far more losses than they did wins, and they've managed to bounce themselves back to a roughly 500 team. And if we take a look at kind of the standings in the Pacific Division, it's going to be tough to kind of punch into one of those top 3 spots with Vegas, Vancouver, and LA at the time of this recording. They're, 11 points back from the LA Kings, but they're only 2 points back from 4th place Calgary, who have 29 points in 31 games. So the Oilers have 3 games in hand on their provincial rival. They're only 2 points back. If they win even 2 of those games, they're sitting pretty at 4th in the division, basically. So the Oilers, they've made some really good progress over the last couple of weeks. That being said, there is still a long way to go. They may have won some of the more recent battles, but the regular season is most definitely a war of attrition. So they really need to keep things up here. McDavid dropped Draisaitl, they need to keep doing their usual superstar stuff. The rest of the team need to sticking to Knoblauch's system. I would be surprised, given their momentum recently, if the Edmonton Oilers aren't fighting for a playoff spot now, which, given a couple of weeks ago what we were discussing, that's a pretty crazy turnaround, right? So that 8-game winning streak has really helped them kind of put themselves back into relevancy as a team that could potentially compete for the playoffs. I think we kind of need the Edmonton Oilers to be competing for a playoff spot and making it to the postseason, because it's kind of crazy the thought of not having Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL at the moment, not competing in the postseason during his prime. I feel like NHL fans across the league and across the world would be absolutely robbed if we didn't get to see McDavid light it up in the postseason once again, especially now that he's in the prime of his career and is only getting better and better with each passing season. So Edmonton Oilers, you've done a great job turning it around recently. Get yourselves off that losing streak, get back on that winning path, set yourselves up good for the new year, and I want to see how you do, guys. Good luck, Oilers. It's all in your hands now, right? And finally, we have Drew Nye, who asks, do you watch the World Juniors? I don't watch the World Juniors live or follow it that religiously, Drew. I do keep tabs on the tournament every single year and kind of how each team performs, the interesting storylines, the amazing plays, the awesome goals. I always keep tabs on them kind of the day or the morning after all of these games are played. The biggest problem for me has always been that the World Juniors is typically played in Western Canada, especially in more recent years, and me living home in the UK and England, there was an 8-hour time difference between England and Western Canada, so a lot of the games were starting really late at night or like 3:30 in the morning, and I didn't even stay up to watch the Rangers when they played in California at 3:30 in the morning. So if I'm not going to stay up to watch the Rangers, I'm not going to watch Czechia versus Sweden at that time, you know? If so, what are your thoughts on Team Canada's roster? There's only one returnee, but they have that unbelievable skill in the upcoming draft pick, Macklin Celebrini. I think Team Canada's roster, once again, like every single other year at the World Juniors and any international competition, they are one of, if not the favourite to win the competition. As you mentioned, Drew, it's Owen Beck, I believe, is the one returnee for the Team Canada roster, but a lot of good, young, up-and-coming players, recent draft picks to the NHL, up-and-coming draft picks to the NHL, so Team Canada once again have a fantastic roster who are going to be able to go head-to-head with any of the other nations at the tournament. Whether they win gold at the competition, we'll have to wait and see, of course. But also, like you mentioned, Drew, Macklin Celebrini, the 17-year-old forward, the projected first overall draft pick of the upcoming 2024 NHL draft. He gets called up to Team Canada's roster for the competition, and given his performance so far at Boston University this season, scoring at roughly, if not over, a point-a-game pace at Boston University in the NCAA as a 17-year-old, I might add, and given his track record in the sport, given his amazing skills that he has as well, I think Celebrini's going to have a great World Juniors competition this year. I think he's going to play very well this tournament. I would be shocked if he finished at under a point a game. I very much expect he's going to be slightly, if not well over a point a game pace by the end of the tournament. And if Team Canada win gold, I highly expect that Celebrini is going to be the driving force, the catalyst behind that gold medal win, right? Obviously, Team Canada have a bunch of great prospects, a bunch of great players on their roster, former future draft picks who are likely going to have long, successful NHL careers, right? But Celebrini just seems to be that step above everybody else, you know? Kind of similar to like Connor Bedard was at the World Juniors last year, a sizable step above their teammates. Celebrini is exactly the same in that regard as well, I think. As a 17-year-old going to the World Juniors, there's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of expectations around Celebrini, and I think there's a big question mark on whether he's going to be able to live up to that. Given his performance at BU so far this season, given his track record, like I said before, I would be shocked if he didn't rise to the occasion, get the job done, be a top 6, if not top line guy for Team Canada, and help the team come away with at least a medal. Whether it's a gold, like I said, we'll have to wait and see, but Celebrini's going to have a fantastic tournament, and even if he finishes at under a point a game pace, I feel like he's the kind of player that he will continue to make plays that even if he's not showing up on the scoreboard, he's going to help his team win, he's going to put up decent stats and great underlying metrics as well. So Team Canada, good luck at the World Juniors over the next few weeks. I'm going to be rooting for you personally now that I'm living here in Canada, and Celebrini, hope you have a great tournament, dude. I think you're going to do wonders at the World Juniors, and I would be genuinely shocked if you didn't finish as tournament MVP. So let's go Team Canada, let's go Celebrini. First overall pick, baby! And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. That was the latest episode of This Week in Hockey. What do you guys think about the questions that we covered and the answers that I provided to them? Also, do you have another topic that you'd like me to cover in a future video? Do let me know in the comments below. I would absolutely love to hear what you guys have to say. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.